Welcome to the R&R podcast. Back again. Episode 2. We're on the move.
I'm excited.
Real raw business. Not rest and relaxation.
Because we don't know what that is.
Yeah. We don't know what that is. We're too busy working. This episode is going to have some 3 killer topics that we're going to be going over.
Right.
So if you guys are not subscribed already, please subscribe on YouTube. And you also can check it out on relatablemarketing.com. And yeah, let's jump right into it.
Let's dive in.
So the first one is real cost of a lead.
And this is a good one because the first thing I'm sure a lot of people out there are thinking about is a sales funnel, right? What's the cost of a lead? Let's dump it in the top and see how long it takes to get down to the bottom for a win. That's not what we're talking about today.
No.
We're talking about what's the real cost of a lead.
Yeah.
And how are you going about doing that? And there's a lot that companies are missing out on.
Ton. And I think that the main word in there is cost. Because everybody's just trying to get leads all the time. Gimme. I'm hungry. I'm chasing. You know, let me go out there fishing for more leads, plant as many seeds as possible, and
going for that transaction.
They're going for the transaction, and that's it.
There's
a lot of steps to a lead, and you're missing out on a lot, which is costing you money. It's literally costing you money not to nurture your leads and also the ones that turn into clients or customers. There's a big cost that's happening there.
Yeah, and what a lot of companies do is they say, "Oh, we're nurturing leads. We're doing it that way."
Right.
But it's for the big whales. It's for the big deals. So
Right.
they're gonna take their time, finesse them, go back and forth or whatever. But for the ones that kind of keep the lights on and pay the bills, it's just let's go in and out, and let's search for that magic pill, swallow that magic pill. And we talk to so many companies, right? And a lot of them are just doing that transactional, like, here we go, get the sale, move on, let's go to the next one.
All the time.
And then they forget about their existing customers and even nurturing those prospects that could be potential leads. They're just not happening right now.
Right. And there's a lot of different ways you can nurture your leads by providing value and really seeing what their needs are and giving them that extra step instead of you like, hey, here's how we're the best. Here's the best product on the market. Here's all the features and functions that we can do that no one else is doing. We're a difference maker. We're a disruptor in the industry. And then, I mean, people can only care about that so much.
Right.
So that's really what I know, that you have to do some things more to get their attention, but also to show that you care.
Yeah. And some wins are going to happen faster than others, but I think the mindset out there is that there's this quick fix.
Right.
That we're going to skip all these steps and immediately get here. We're going to go to A to Z and cut out all these other steps.
Right.
Which isn't the case because every lead is different. Every prospect is different. The way they run things, do things, make decisions.
Yeah.
So the real cost of a lead is really how much time are you spending kind of, doing those transactions, doing those dialing for dollars things. Yeah. You're really missing out. You're not cultivating. You're planting all these seeds, but it's like you're forgetting to water them.
Right.
You're just running away.
Right.
And it takes time to come to harvest.
And then when you're reaching out to so many of them, so you got so many seeds out there, and then you go back to water them, you don't know what's what and
what's
going on. And actually, that kind of goes into a little bit of the next thing. Think about that. Think about you planting a ton of seeds out there. You're out there hungry, chasing it, just a go-getter out there. You're trying to make as many sales and many leads as possible. Then you go back to try to nurture them, but then you're like, wait, who was I talking to? What's going on? And really what fixes that is a CRM.
Yeah.
But a lot of companies don't have even a CRM to go back and really figure out, hey, when's the last time I talked to somebody? When was the last interaction I had?
Yeah.
What's going on with them lately? Yeah. And they can't even, go back to them. So now they're just chasing the next thing. Like, oh, well, I don't know when the last time I called them. Or they're calling that person 6 times in a day.
Yeah.
because you got your teams just after it.
I mean, yeah. There's a flip side to that coin. It's the same
Yeah,
thing, but it's like, yeah, you either forget completely and then you go back, and either they're gone, they went with somebody else
right,
because you didn't
right.
continuously follow up with them,
Yeah,
or you're following up with them so much because you don't know where else to go.
yeah,
And yeah, that's where CRM comes into play. And so many companies say they have a CRM, but Excel spreadsheets aren't. It's not a CRM,
not zero.
and you can't keep track of stuff like that. And the days of, oh, I'm a salesperson, I only need to keep track of my pipeline and my wins. I don't need to keep track of calls and things like that. That's bull. You need
Yeah,
to. And it's not
100%.
just small companies or mid-sized companies that think, well, we don't have enough employees to have a CRM, it doesn't make sense for us. If you have one salesperson or one business development person,
Right,
it
right.
makes sense to have a CRM. If you want
Yeah,
to do any kind of marketing or any kind of lead generation,
yeah,
you need a CRM, and they're
yeah,
cost effective today. There's
yeah.
so many different ones out there, and it was a shock to us to find out how many large companies don't have a
Right.
CRM in place. I
Oh
mean,
my
we're
God.
talking name brand.
Yeah,
Like, if we dropped some names,
yeah,
you obviously know who they are.
yeah, yeah,
you know,
yeah, for sure.
so the real cost is it's not only the hunt, right, that a lot of people are doing, trying to get the quick lead, the transaction, and the chase, but the cost is the behind the scenes.
Yeah,
You're missing out on opportunities because you're trying to chase so much,
yeah,
but you don't know where those opportunities went after you left the call because you don't have a CRM to keep it
right.
in place.
Or keep following up. The power of follow up. I know a lot of people hear about this, but you got to be able to follow up. Most times it takes 7 times to follow up with somebody before it turns into something.
And it's not
And
7 times in the same day or same
yeah,
week.
yeah.
Just so you know, because there's companies out there that do that.
7 different interactions
Yeah.
with someone to really get them kind of either interested or in your actual pipeline.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are busy these days and persistence just wins.
Yeah. And it's not just sending an email or leaving a voicemail
Yeah.
as a touch. It's something that's relevant to them. Like, hey, this was happening in your industry. I thought you might find this news interesting.
Right.
Hey, I saw an article where you were featured. This goes along those lines.
Right. Right.
That's a touch point. That's those 7 touch points.
Yeah.
And a lot of companies make kind of these absurd goals for their teams to say, well, you need this many leads in this much time period.
Yeah.
Go.
God.
And they don't have time to nurture. They don't have time to build
Yeah.
a relationship. They don't have time
And it's
to do
okay
that.
to have goals for your sales teams, but just know that nowadays it's all about relationships. It's more than just that chase. You can have certain obtainable goals that you can have weekly, but what he's talking about is give your teams the right tools they need to succeed, but also the right time to actually build a network and build relationships. Because when you're just on a quota, you can't think about building relationships. You need wins. You need yeses. You need
Yeah.
transactions. And the problem is after that transaction's done, you're on to the next.
On to the
So you
next.
couldn't even build anything with somebody. And we actually have a whole philosophy on that where, it's called a connection success.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually that, from a vendor all the way to somebody that has a relationship with somebody. And it's about where do you stand in that pyramid, with a vendor, or are you a consultant? Are you an advisor? Do you have a real relationship? What's your success relationship with that person?
Yeah. Yeah. And if you're a throwaway to somebody, I mean, if you look at them as a
Yeah.
transactional win, they're not looking at you as a trusted advisor that
Yeah.
everybody preaches about
Yeah.
online and LinkedIn and
You're
all that stuff. But
disposable.
internally, you're not doing that.
Yeah.
You're all disposable.
Yeah.
Like, and I say you all for the ones that are doing the bad practice.
Yeah.
You know, not the not the good folks watching this podcast. But it's true. It's vice versa. You do a transactional hunt, and that's what
Right.
you're going to get back in return. They're not going to come back to you and say, "Hey, Jamar, I have a question about this. I have a
Yeah.
question about this. You're really reliable on this." If he was
Right.
just a transactional type person, they're just going to Google what he does
Right.
similar and
Right.
shop for the best price for the next round.
Right. And I can give you a tip too. So if you are following up with somebody, uh, one great thing to do when you do get in touch with them, and let's say instead of jumping right into your services and everything that you offer and all of that, why don't you send them a referral? Why don't you give a little bit? You got to be able to give to get. I know you heard that saying before, but send them a referral or somebody that you think that may be interested in their services to show them like, hey, I care and I appreciate and I like what you guys do. You know,
Yeah.
You're showing a little more interest because that's what building a relationship is. Just like think about you do it for your friend. When you have a friend, it's like, hey, I wanna hook him up. Or I want to hook her up with, hey, I found these nice shoes over here. You gotta go check these out. I think they would be really nice for you.
Yeah.
Before you just kind of all about you, it's more about them. So that's just one tip that has really helped for us because we're always looking to connect and work with different people. And if we can give referrals or different networks and different other things, it's just a win for us, and you feel great by doing it.
Yeah, and it's a quality referral too.
Yeah,
It's not a quid pro quo like, oh, I'm going to give you a referral and I'm expecting something back. I mean,
yeah,
legitimately say, hey, listen, I got this great network that um, I think would be a great connection for you.
yeah.
So let me make this referral for you, and it could turn into a potential sale or a potential lead for them. But at least you're giving them some kind of quality or whatever. So that next time you
Right, right.
contact them, be like, hey, listen, I wanted to make sure that you were able to get a hold of them. Do I need to make an introduction for you? Oh, by the way, what I wanted to talk to you about was some of the services that we offer.
Mm-hmm.
And just throw something out that way. Just
Yeah,
have it on hand. They're going to be more receptive and just say, but I want to learn more about you. So, when I'm looking for those referrals
yeah,
that
yeah,
I can send you, I want to know exactly what I'm sending. So you're really killing two birds with one stone. You're building that relationship, but you're also finding out more of what they do.
yeah,
Yes, you can find them referrals, but they're going to come back to you and be like, okay, they're really looking out for me
yeah. Exactly.
and my best interest. Maybe I should take a look at what they do in their services.
It's
And
just
that
one
takes
little
time.
tip,
It's
you
a little
know.
tip, takes a little time. Sometimes they happen fast.
Yeah,
Sometimes they take a long time. But, you know,
you just never know.
it,
You
it
never know where because it's all about timing.
yeah.
You want to have the right timing, and usually that's what the perfect scenario is for the right marriage, basically.
Yeah.
Of for the transaction to go through, or for the sale to go through, or for whatever your business is. Um, that's what you're looking for.
And since this is the R&R podcast, we can say
Yeah.
whatever we want.
Right. Say it. Say it.
The real cost of a lead is not a one night stand.
Yeah. Please
You don't have your leads
preach.
be a one night stand. Like he said, it's a marriage.
Yeah.
So you don't go meeting your wife online
Yeah.
to being married.
Yeah.
You gotta get to know each other a little bit. So
And just on some different scenarios that happens, you know, everybody gets these LinkedIn messages, Facebook messages or whatever, and it's just like a giant book
oh
of
yeah.
why they want, hey, why we're better. I think you'll be interested. You don't even know me. What are you talking about? Get to know somebody before you want to jump in bed with them.
Yeah.
Take them from the bar all the way to. I mean, it's you got to think about it as a relationship. You want to talk with somebody. You figure out what their likes or their dislikes are. About them. You ask them questions. You build a little bit of trust before you actually say, "Hey, can I have your number?" You know, it's not you walk up to somebody, "Hey, look at me," I'm fresh, handsome, I'm all about it. I got a lot of great things going on. Give me
Want to
a
get
number.
married?
Yeah, you want to get, yeah, it's even better. You want to get married? It's just like, whoa,
Let's skip all that stuff.
you're gonna be called a creep, and that's what you creeps are. On LinkedIn sending these messages, you guys are creeps.
Yeah.
So
Don't be a creep.
start get to know me a little bit before you start, trying to get me in bed right away. So,
Exactly. So
and that's just a scenario that you could use. But as far as the real cost of a lead, there's also the back end part about it, and that's after they're locked in. They're a client of yours. They're a customer. There's so many ways that you can have client retention. That's what we like
mhm.
to call it, and be able to nurture them and be helpful, and not just feel like they got dropped off somewhere after
Yeah, then I mean,
Back to the one night stand analogy. After the night's over, the morning rises, and you roll over and you're like,
ugly lights are on.
they're gone.
They're gone. Yeah.
They're gone.
So yeah, cultivate the relationship once you make a sale. Don't just dump them off and assume that they're just going to stay forever. So,
Yes. Yeah.
even what we do is we help companies create customer success teams
Right.
to really do the follow up.
Yeah.
And we're not talking just send them an email checking in and try to resell them again or
Yeah.
upsell them.
Yeah.
We're talking really kind of cultivate and have that real relationship so that they know they have a point of contact, a person they can contact,
Somebody they can trust.
something they can
And that's the
trust.
main word about it, trust.
So when your competition's calling them and pitching them,
Yeah.
they're like, well, I already work with Dan and Jamar,
Yeah.
and those guys are awesome, and they keep touching.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're cheaper. We're not going.
Yeah.
we're not leaving.
Yeah. Yeah.
and
We're taken care of here.
we're
And
taking care of here.
yeah.
If you can
we
take care of
feel
us
good.
better, yeah. So
So I think that just think about your leads. Think about how you can, from the moment that they get in touch with you, or you get in touch with them, all the way after the deal is done. What are things you can do to add into your process to eliminate, or at least lower that real cost of a lead?
right, and then once you see that, you can set up goals the correct way
Right.
instead of just kind of throwing a high number out there because that's what you want.
Yeah.
And you don't want a number that can be manipulated.
Yeah.
Either. So that'll help as well. So there's a lot of variables. It's all about the process that's put in place. Build a real relationship, and your costs per lead will go down when you build those relationships, because those relationships will turn into referrals, and referrals will turn to more good exposure, and more inbound stuff will come. And when your outbound stuff goes, people will start to recognize you, and then it's a snowball.
So stop missing out. So the next topic
This is a good one.
is corporate versus employees.
Yes.
And it's a kind of a weird concept, because you want your employees to be right in line with corporate. We're kind of talking from medium to large size businesses, but this can be a lot of times with family owned, also companies that have a lot of kind of disconnect within the organization. Even if it's a tight knit, 5 to 10 people, you still can have a lot of disconnection, with it. So we want to talk about corporate versus the employees, the rival of the new decade.
There's some companies out there that do it well, and there's most companies out there that don't.
Yeah.
And that's what we found when we do evaluations, right?
Right.
We go in there and we're kind of shocked at the gap that we
Right.
see with employees and the corporate culture.
Yeah. And especially when the whole thing that's thrown out there is like, hey, we're doing everything right. We got,
Right.
our employees love their job. You speak so highly of everything, and then you kind of go in, and then you kind of really see what's going on, and the employees start talking to you about certain things, and it's like, wow, there's a huge disconnect here.
Yeah.
And I think it's because also the bigger you get, the more you just have that growth syndrome almost, like where you kind of disconnect from the bottom, and you're so focused on the top, the vision, all that stuff, where you kind of you need to go back and to really understand where the core of your business is.
Yeah, and for lack of a better word, that's where like pride comes in. You kind of get puffed up and a little bit big, and these companies they're up here and their employees are down here.
Right.
And their employees don't really have a voice. And there's and we're not talking about the employees that gripe and bitch and complain about their jobs on the daily and all that. We're talking about people that like give legitimate feedback and are just like, man, if we did this and this, we'd reach so many. Because here's a surprising thing: the people that are in marketing, business development, sales, they're talking to the prospects.
Yeah.
The CEO is just up there checking numbers, maybe the high-end clients and all that stuff. They're not really getting the ear knowledge that their
100%.
employees are taking. And that's where companies need to really do a better job at aligning.
Yeah.
And a lot of companies, that's where it comes to, corporate versus employees.
Right.
They build this wonderful culture, assumed culture,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then they get in there and it's just
Assume
like,
culture. It's a good
yeah,
way to put it.
and they get in there and then the employee doesn't feel like they have a voice or they
Yeah.
can be heard. It's just come in, do a job, and that's it. My voice doesn't matter. And,
Yeah.
and even small companies, like you said, I mean, you got Pops that built up the company, and
Yeah.
he's been in business for 40, 50 years. It's the way we always done things, and he doesn't want to listen to a snot-nosed kid that's like, hey, listen, social media is where it's at, and we
Yeah.
need to really do this and
Do some different
do some
things. And
different things. And Pops is like, no,
yeah.
we're gonna keep sending direct mailers out and place ads in newspapers.
Yeah. How many of you guys can relate to that? Please comment below.
But it's
Happens a lot.
yeah, and it's kind of a my way or the highway type
Yeah.
thing, and even bigger companies, they have the board and they have
Yeah.
all these people up on top and then everybody else
Yeah.
below. And I get when you have like 1,000 or 10,000 employees,
Yeah.
how it could be unmanageable.
Yeah. For
But
sure.
that's where you got to build up, kind of, teams where you have sessions of, think differently or
Yeah.
think big or think small or whatever the case is, so that your employees can have these inputs to say, hey, if we sent this information out or if we
Right.
did this or this a different way, and because they're getting feedback from your customers already.
Yeah. And there needs to be an avenue for your employees to get their ideas in.
Yeah.
Even if not every idea is going to be taken, obviously, because they're
Right.
not all good ideas, but there needs to be an avenue to share those ideas because you're creating a better culture by saying, hey, we want your feedback. We care about what's going on. And then they will care more about their jobs because they feel like they're being heard as well. So it's a two-way street. And in turn, you have retention because
Mhm.
now you've created a way, at least one way, for the employees to be able to say, hey, I'm actually being heard at my job. They
Mhm.
care about me and they care about what I have to say. Especially, you guys know those ones that are just diehards. Like they just do anything for the company. They just go in and out and go over and beyond every single day. But they're the ones that are the most like where if they're not being heard, that's really hurting them.
Yeah.
That's really hurting.
Yeah.
All they don't want the raise, they don't want the promotion. It's about being heard. And I think that's about for everybody. They just want to be listened to. Uh and that's one key thing. So even if you have 1,000, 5,000 employees, implement a system where they realistically can be heard.
Yeah. Realistically, yeah. We're not talking about companies that, the employees that bitch and complain. No, we should have free coffee on
Yeah.
Wednesdays and Starbucks every whatever. We're talking about the ones that give the legitimate ideas and, like you said, voices heard, and it's really creating. It's not only that retention, but once they feel that they're being heard,
Right.
yeah, I mean, okay, retaining employees, the cost goes down because you don't have
Yeah.
this revolving door of people leaving saying, well, screw this, I can't be heard.
Yeah.
But you're really creating that company culture, and the way you create that company culture is what we call brand ambassadors.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're going to be passionate about the company, they're really going to be passionate about the company.
Yeah.
Because
Sure.
and what we always tell companies is you have to look at your company. I don't care what you sell. You're a sales and marketing company.
Yeah.
That's it. And you have to, how do you get your employees to think like an entrepreneur or a business owner?
Yeah.
Let them be heard. Value their opinions, value what they bring to the table.
Yeah. Give them a
Like every
voice.
idea is not going to be the best idea,
Yeah.
but you're going to be shocked at how many good ideas come across that board. And you're going to implement and test and see what works, what doesn't work,
Yeah.
and you'd be surprised what happens. And, it's just like, companies that have developers and they develop an app and it just, it totally changed our game
Yeah.
the way we
Yeah.
do this,
Yeah. For sure.
So it's the same thing on the company side. It's
Yeah.
it's tear down that wall, even if you have to do it quarterly or if you're a smaller company and you can do it monthly,
Yeah.
let your people be heard. If you don't have the balls to be face to face with your company, well then do a survey that or whatever the case is or something.
Do something,
Do
but make it
something.
personable. Make it something where you really can get some real feedback.
Real
I mean,
feedback.
I've gotten to Survey Monkeys before.
Yeah.
You don't really feel a real like, hey, I'm really giving a voice here.
Yeah.
It almost feels like a company initiative that's kind of like I'm just checking a box here. You
Right.
know, I, I don't like those. I know that our my past life, um, the company I worked for, they had a big disconnect between um, one owner was always in the stores, always. So they kind of got that one to one, but the other one was always more focused more in the legal aspect of it and kind of the real estate, you
Mm.
know, world of it and kind of just moving the company forward. And the biggest issue, I was in IT, but the biggest issue was, their disconnect between the other departments that were doing that were very big pieces of the company, but if they weren't the drivers of the revenue,
Yeah.
they were kind of just shoved off to the side, you know.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So if they weren't in sales or collections, they were kind of like, yeah, we really don't care. You never even saw them, by the way. You didn't. You rarely saw them
Yeah.
ever. I mean, they would try to put these town hall meetings together, and if you're gonna have a town hall meeting, make it meaningful, please. Make it actual, real, tangible things, actionable items that you
Yeah.
can really pull from that. Don't just put it together to have a hoorah and then and then just be like, all right, see ya.
Because
We're doing it next year.
yeah, your employees and folks will read through BS and fluff
Yeah,
like, oh, we're gonna buy them off with a couple of drinks and free
yeah,
pizza.
yeah. And
You
put
know,
your pride to the side,
right? Get out of your
please.
own head. Just
Yeah,
like, you know what? Yeah. Congrats for building the company. Congrats for being in a team, leadership
yeah,
role, executive
yeah,
level.
for
That's
sure.
awesome.
Hey,
You do have a lot of responsibility, but the fact of the matter is, it's your people.
yeah,
They leave, your customers are going to go, they're going to go. Get out
yeah,
of your own head. Just, listen to them. Let them have a voice.
yeah,
And like you said, in those departments, there's so many disconnects.
yeah,
Sales is disconnected with marketing is
yeah,
disconnected with business development. It's like, well, those three areas work
yeah.
together.
Those should be one.
That should be one.
Those should all work in unison, and we work with companies a lot that we go in there and we align all those
Yeah,
ones
yeah.
because they have to be there for you to have success, and that's just bottom line of it.
I mean, yeah, that's another subject, but I mean,
Yeah,
but 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 that's what I'm talking about. Is if they're disconnected, business development might be saying, "Hey, we're hearing this.
right.
Marketing, we should talk about this."
Yeah,
And sales is saying, "Well, hey, listen, this is what we're getting from prospects. We need to
yeah,
do this." So everybody needs to be talking.
right,
And that needs to be brought up to the corporate, to the headquarters, to the executives. Like, hey, listen, our
right,
three strongest departments,
right.
the one that brings in the bread and butter, is saying this.
Yeah,
You know, so you might have to shift and get out of your own agenda,
yeah,
or be like, well, we need to keep doing this because back to a previous podcast, we gotta, you know, we just have to align this way.
yeah.
You know,
Exactly, exactly, and also rip off the red tape. Just rip it off because we talk with some other companies that are having a lot of internal issues with things getting approved. It takes so long for things to happen, for once again, for a voice to be heard, or for, hey, I'm able to make these changes, but I'm not held back by the overlord of corporate,
yeah,
as a puppeteer,
yeah,
and they're just pulling the strings, and you just feel like you can't do anything. Give your people some leeway to be able to make some changes, make some things of their own. Because once again, you're getting them invested, and when they feel like their ideas and their motivation to to do more, and it's working and it's helping, and they feel like they have a say, they can make some moves. They're more invested into your company, and that's really what we're trying to say. So there's okay, and I feel like companies get a lot of red tape because they're trying to make sure they don't get burned again, or they're trying to have control. Well, you can have control, but just try to have it in a way where you give your employees some room to grow,
yeah, yeah,
some room to actually make some changes.
yeah,
So then that way you also you'd be surprised. Some people may, you'd be like, wow, I gave this department a little bit of room, and all of a sudden now they have a huge initiative that is really helping something that was like a big problem, a big pain point.
oh yeah.
That was happening, and you'd be surprised on what people can come up with.
Yeah, and some people think of cost cutting ways and things like that. I mean, it's just you never know what the possibilities are.
Yeah.
And like you said about cutting the red tape, it's and this helps too in finding out who people are the BSers and things like that.
Yeah.
It's somebody on a lower level might have a great idea,
Right.
and then you might point the finger at, well, then what is this person doing, right?
Right.
You know,
Right.
it's just what a great idea is. So, cut the red tape. I understand that corporate marketing has their own agendas and things like that, but it's
Right.
it's not the huge like, oh, we got to check for the legal, make sure this is fine, and this is fine, and this is fine. It's like, listen, we're getting approval on the regional level here,
Yeah.
and they got some great ideas, so go with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, thin the red tape line, snip it, cut it. It's not, they're not changing the entire,
Yeah.
agenda of marketing overall.
Right.
It's listen, we have these good ideas, let's implement them.
Yeah. 100%. All right. This final topic that we're talking about today is a plan is not a strategy. I'll repeat that. A plan is not a strategy.
Yep. I think
There's a difference.
there's a big difference, and we're gonna go over that with you today, because we'll just dive right in. So
Dive in.
our experience is marketing always has a plan.
Right.
They have a year plan. It's staked out what they're gonna do, how they're gonna do things, and this is it.
Right.
It's a good outline,
Right.
but it's not a strategy. When the U.S. goes to war,
Yeah.
they have a strategy. They have a plan, but the strategy is what if scenarios. How are we going to do things? What if things changes? All this stuff. So the strategy is really kind of the outtakes of the plan.
Yeah. It's
So
the
to speak.
it's the outtakes, it's
This
the
could-
it's the goals, it's the deep dive into all aspects of the plan.
It's really the behind the scenes,
Yeah.
right, of the plan.
Of the plan. The plan is really to be executed.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
execute, it's like deliverables. You check things off of a box, and that's the plan.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing. And yeah, you may have a goal at the end of that plan, but that has nothing to do with strategy. So I know a lot of people confuse the two with I have a plan to do this, or I have a marketing strategy, when you're only having a plan to do something. And so we really wanted to talk about this because I feel like this is a big one, and it can help a lot of people in business to really understand the differences, and also give them a little bit of tips to help them with their own stuff.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, for instance, when you're talking about branding, so branding, there's a lot of different aspects of a brand, but a lot of times, a lot of people confuse a plan with a brand. And what I mean by that is, like, you may have a plan of a digital approach to it, but that's not really affecting your brand. That's not a strategy for your brand.
Right.
That's really just a plan to help in one area in your digital space.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, in that aspect, it could be my plan is to go to the mall, take some pictures, and that's how I'm going to build my brand.
Right.
That's one aspect of it. The strategy is, well, how are you gonna get there? What are you gonna
Yeah.
do after those pictures? What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
It's all about the process that's involved.
Or what are you
with it.
taking pictures of?
What are you taking
Why are you
pictures
taking
of?
pictures of?
Yeah.
Where is the data to back that up of the approach? What kind of camera are you using? What kind of mall are you going to? Is it one that promotes your brand? Is it? I mean, it's really the deep dive of why you're doing what you're doing for that plan, and you have to have a strategy before you have a plan to execute it.
Yeah. I know this sounds elementary, but I think a lot of companies are like, oh, we totally do a strategy, and it's just like, well, you don't, because the process is wrong, the setup is wrong. You're following a guidebook,
Yeah.
which is your plan,
Yeah.
but you're not really. If you juked, football term, if you juked and got sideswiped or shifted,
Yeah.
you don't know how to divulge from that plan.
Yeah.
Your plan is not going to follow that shift.
Yeah.
Or a what if scenario, or oh, we got a new revenue stream, or
Yeah.
hey, we no longer take orders via retail, Everything's online now. You got to
Right.
shift. Your strategy is going to shift.
Yeah.
So your strategy is really aligning your goals
Right.
to how you want to reach, your clients, your customers, your prospects, but even internally, like how you sell,
Yeah.
and things change.
Yeah.
So that's what the strategy is, and I think a lot of people get that confused. Is we have a strategy, and it's just
What are some stories? Please comment below on just some
yeah,
stories that you guys have with, what you guys feel like is a plan versus a strategy. Um, and I feel like every strategy, and is worth something. So when you're talking about planning, you're talking about putting together a bunch of deliverables to execute on that plan. But a strategy, you have to kind of think about, why are we doing what we're doing? What's the real purpose behind what we're doing today? And so that way we can execute now a plan to make sure that we actually are going forward and going ahead. And that's the difference. You got to kind of think back on, so when you have a brand strategy, you can even, look at, what's the ideal customer look like? What are they wearing? Where do they shop? What's their annual revenue? What kind of clothes do they have? What are they interests? What are their interests are? You kind of just break that down to really understand, who your ideal customer is, because you get a lot of people that are like, well, who's your target audience? Ah, well, and they give these gigantic, you
everyone,
know, everybody,
everybody.
or these big areas, where it's like, oh yeah, we can sell to anybody, or it's a whole like different markets, where you're just like, that's a lot of people. No, we want to know who your target audience is. Like, who's the audience, but then what's your ideal customer look like as
Yeah.
well?
Yeah, what's your sweet spot? And really what a strategy does, so maybe kind of clear things up, what a strategy does versus what a plan does. Strategy answers the why. The why
Yeah.
behind.
Yeah.
Plan doesn't answer that.
Yeah.
A plan's like a map. It's a good idea to get me from here to here, but the strategy behind that could be, well, am I flying, riding a bike, walking, running, taking a boat,
Right.
and then why do we want to do this? Well,
Yeah.
I'm not going to take a boat if I'm going to be visiting the Sahara Desert, and I'm
Yeah.
not, going to walk to Hawaii. So I mean, it's as dumb as that analogy sounds.
Right. Right.
That's what it is. I mean, you have to think of, okay, we got a marketing plan in place,
Yeah.
but the strategy is really to align our goals, align our people, align our prospects, align our vision, align our company culture,
Yeah.
and it has to have a purpose, and it has to answer, well, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Why are we doing this plan? Why is this plan good?
Yeah.
Because you did it last year and it worked. It's you have to sit down and kind of ask, well, why are we doing this?
Yeah. And then
Because we've always done it.
yeah. I mean, yeah, because you've always done it. I mean, a lot of people say that all the time. We're just doing it because this is what we do.
Yeah,
You
we
know,
we go to this trade show because, well, we've always done
oh,
it.
God.
But it brings I mean, a good example. We had that before.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
company told
Yeah.
us, like, we go and showcase and sponsor this trade show.
Yeah. Cost X amount. I mean, let's just throw a number out there.
Yeah,
It's 350,000. To go. With total cost of people and getting shipping everything there, and then being there for 3 days, and
and then they tell you, well, our target audience isn't even there.
yeah.
So you spend all that money to get zero back.
Or you figure out, like,
That
well,
makes
what
no
was your
sense.
ROI on that? Well, we don't really make anything at this one. This is just to show a little bit of face.
Yeah,
You know.
this is face value. So go somewhere where it makes
Yeah.
sense. Like, I mean, and we could go into trade shows and
Yeah.
conferences
That's
all day
another
long.
topic.
That's another topic.
That's
That's
topic.
another show.
That'll be a good one.
But that's just kind of one. The plans to go to trade shows and conferences, or the plan is to go to 12 trade shows and conferences
Yeah.
this year. So, build a strategy behind that. Answer why. Really have a purpose behind it.
Yeah.
Your purpose and your end goal is really, okay, do we want to retain customers this year? Do we want to grow? Do we want to scale? Do we want to hire more people?
Right.
And build your strategy behind that. And
Yeah.
everything else falls into a place at that point.
And I also think too, from another point of view, the next time that you're having a plan to do something, uh, and you have certain deliverables that need to be done, so you need a website, you need a brand, you need a logo, new logo design, you need a new video for your website, you need lead generation, you need whatever that is, that item that you're trying to get done, just the next time you really are looking for that, try to work with somebody that asks deeper questions. Really focuses on the actual strategy of what you're trying to accomplish so they can help you get to your goal faster. And I say that because a lot of people will always go for, hey, these are deliverables that we need to go through, and they just check boxes.
Just check boxes
Check
all day long.
boxes, and here's the issue. They try to find somebody to help them out with that. They find them. They do, let's say they do a great job. They do a great job. You love it. And the thing is, now you have that. You check that box. Now what?
Now what?
Is it getting you closer to your goal? It may have solved the plan for it, but there was no strategy behind it.
Yeah, right.
So now you just, it's
We're
kind of
next
like
steps.
it's kind of like, hey, I'm in the middle of the ocean. I need to get to an island somewhere. I don't know where it is, but I need to get on land. And now I have a deliverable checkbox like I need to swim a little faster. Okay, well, I found this floating, wooden stick in the middle of the water. So I'm going to grab that. Now I'm going to pedal, or I'm going to, paddle where I need to go. But now it's like, but I still don't know where I'm going. Now, so it's
Right.
like you've accomplished something. So you're swimming a little faster. Great. But you still don't know where you're going. You don't know why you even grabbed it in the first place. Swimming faster when really that island was right next to you.
Right.
It
You
was
could be swimming
right
the wrong way.
across. If you were going the right direction, you didn't even need the paddle. You could have went right over here. So the whole point of it is that when you have a deliverable, you have something you're checking off of a box. Please just partner with somebody that understands where you're trying to go. Ask deeper questions to really figure out the why and to get you to the goal. Because that's the whole point.
Right. So I mean, after you check mark the box, there's got to be the next step.
Yeah.
Because the check mark in the box is a quick fix, is a band aid.
Yeah.
But what's the next step?
Right.
What's the end result? And that could be, you know,
Yeah.
huge gap.
Yeah.
But we checked off a box.
Yeah.
So that's the difference between a plan and a strategy, and what we're kind of reiterating. So, comment below, especially if you're in marketing or anything like that,
Yeah.
you're responsible for developing a plan,
Yeah.
or anything like that. And what are your strategies, involved? We'd love to
Yeah.
hear your comments, your
We would
feedback.
love to hear it. Love to hear. Well, thank
Definitely.
you so much for joining us on this episode of the R&R podcast, Real Raw Business, where we give it here. It's right to you straight. Jamar Jones,
And Dan Marks.
and we're here with Relatable Marketing. And till the next time, peace.